Okay, we're going live. Man, we appreciate you guys being in here with us. Going live on the Teal Shirt Report podcast, Big J Report. .com. Appreciate you guys coming in here. 75 and on our screen, we've got the SEC championship game result. Georgia beat Alabama 28-7. Georgia Bulldogs 28, Alabama Crimson Tide 7. Big Ten title game went to Indiana. Wasn't much. I don't even think there was any scoring in the fourth quarter of that game. Indiana won it 13-10. The Big Ten championship game, the Big 12 title game on Saturday. Texas Tech 34, BYU 7. Boy, that was very convincing, wasn't it? Sure was. So that's kind of where we're at with some of the games. Boise State not expected to make the playoff, but they did win the Mountain West Championship. And here we are. We're getting ready for the college football playoff. That's right. College football playoffs will be announced. The brackets will be announced very, very shortly and soon. And we will absolutely let you know. We appreciate you being here. Right here on the Teal Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com. We got the results up on the screen. Check out the scores. If you missed any of the scores from last night's or yesterday's college football conference championship games. SEC championship goes to Georgia. Big Ten title to Indiana. First time Indiana's won the Big Ten. This is probably the best way for me to put it. Probably the first time that Indiana's won the Big Ten championship in football in decades. We'll leave it like that. They won it. It was like a three-way tie back in the mid-'60s. But an uncontested championship of the Big Ten was way back, I think, in 1945. For, of course, the Indiana Hoosiers. Big 3-point win. They'll be in the playoff. And, man, they're undefeated. I jotted down some of the records. Indiana's 13-0. Georgia wins the SEC. They're 12-1. Those are like your top seeds. Texas Tech is 12-1. They won the Big 12. Ohio State, I believe now 12-1. Ole Miss is 11-1. Texas A&M is 11-1. And all those teams are getting in. The big question is going to be, who are the other teams that are going to be getting in? Does Bama get in as a 3-loss team after losing in the SEC championship game to Georgia? And they lost fairly sizable, 28-7. And I've heard pundits putting it out saying that Bama will get in. And then I've heard other people saying Bama will not get in. So we'll just have to wait. The brackets will be announced in just a few minutes. Man, we appreciate you. Appreciate you coming in here. Okay. So we'll be getting the brackets will be unveiled here in a little while. We're going to talk Jacksonville Jaguars. Indianapolis Colts are like a 1.5-point favorite. But the Colts and Jaguars are absolutely both 8-4 and atop the AFC South Division. So make sure you check it out. We got a live stream on the Teal Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com. Glad to have you guys watching. Glad to have you listening. And, hey, man, thank you guys for being here. Right here at the Teal Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com. College football playoff bracket is coming up officially for 2025-26. We'll talk about it this afternoon on Big J Report on the Teal Shirt Report podcast from Big J Report. So, hey, make sure you check us out. We're having a live stream. We got some folks coming in already. Thank you guys for being here. Who's going to be in the playoff? Leave your comments. We know that Indiana winners of the Big Ten, they're 13-10 victors over Ohio State. They're going to get into the playoffs. Georgia, the SEC champions, get into the playoffs. Ohio State's going to be there. They were just a 3-point loss to Indiana, but Indiana wins the Big Ten for the first time in decades, literally decades. Oregon is another team that's going to get in and they're actually a Big Ten team now. Oregon is 11-1. They're highly ranked. 11-1. Texas A&M 11-1. They're going to get in. We hear Oklahoma is probably going to get in at 10-2. But leave us your comments. We should be getting the brackets coming in here in just a few minutes. Here we'll get some brackets, bracketology, and hey, we appreciate you guys being here. This is a live stream. I'm going to say hello to Champ Samuels. I'm hoping Champ will be with us too. We got a live stream. You guys got comments, let us know the comments, and we're all kind of waiting together to see who's officially getting in. But the conference championship is so very important to me. The playoffs, in some respect, have de-emphasized it. We've even seen teams that they got a week off because they didn't play in the championship game, and then it helped them getting a bye week or a week off, before the playoffs started. So that's kind of where we are. This is the Teal Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com, talking college football. Give us your opinion. Subscribe to the channel. Hey, give us a thumbs up. We got the scores up there. SEC championship game: Georgia 28, Alabama 7. Final score: Georgia wins the SEC championship. Big Ten title goes to Indiana. Indiana 13, Ohio State Buckeyes 10. A final Big 12 title game: Texas Tech 34, BYU 7. Final score from Saturday, December the 6th. The night, like a couple of nights ago, it was Boise State winning the Mountain West. But I think Boise State has like 4 losses. They're 9-4, so they won't be getting in the playoff, to my knowledge. We keep hearing that Tulane is going to get in after winning the American. We will see what happens with that. How many teams will the SEC get in? Give us your comment. And when these brackets are announced, who is left out? I'm hearing Miami's getting in. Notre Dame's probably going to get in or not. Alabama's one kind of hanging on the fence because I hear some people say they're going to get in. Some people say they're not going to get in. We've got 3 losses now. We'll see. We'll certainly see what happens with Alabama. But you're all invited to come into the live stream. Glad to have you in here. We appreciate you guys so very, very much checking out our live stream, checking out our podcast, subscribing to the channel, of course. And like I said, we've got a live stream going on. We don't do live streams all the time, but when you subscribe to the channel, well, what's going to happen is you're going to be alerted. I believe when you're subscribers, you're pretty much alerted right away when there's any live streams or any activity, even any recorded shows or podcasts that go up. You'll be one of the first to know. Georgia Bulldogs win the SEC. The Dogs are SEC champs. And if you don't remember, and some of you do though, there were 4 teams actually tied out the SEC when the regular season ended. You had Georgia and Alabama 7-1 each. This is at least conference games now. Texas A&M was 7-1, and you had Ole Miss 7-1. Ole Miss and Texas A&M, they're going to be in the playoff. Alabama lost the Southeastern Conference championship game. They lost to Florida State a little bit earlier in the season. And, Alabama's sitting what? They lost to Oklahoma by 2 points also during the regular season. And Alabama's sitting there with 3 losses. So we'll see what happens with Alabama. Alabama was in the SEC championship game, but they lost to Georgia, as you know, by the score of 28-7. We are absolutely here on the live stream. Again, we appreciate you guys tuning in, being with us here, right here on the Teal Shirt Report podcast and BigJReport.com live stream. We're going to be getting the brackets and the teams who are going to be playing. We'll check it out. There may be some surprises. The Jaguars will play the Colts today. This is a home game at Everbank Stadium. The Colts are actually a 1.5-point favorite. Our source likes the Jaguars to beat the spread, win the game, and the point total to go over. The source of ours, not necessarily us. The source of ours. Certainly, it's a key game in the AFC South. As the Jacksonville Jaguars are 8-4, the Jacksonville Jaguars are 8-4, and the Indianapolis Colts are 8-4. And then, of course, you've got the Texans are just 1 game behind the Jaguars and the Colts. Houston Texans are 7-5, but way out of it now. The Titans are 1-11. So there's some good games coming up. Bears are playing at the Green Bay Packers. That's I believe, a 4:00 game. Bears playing good football. They're like 9-3, and the Packers are 8-3-1. That's a key one in what they call the NFC North in the National Football Conference. Packers on a 3-game winning streak. So the NFL to be played today. A lot of good Sunday games. Plus, we're going to get the college football bracket. The college football bracket is going to be coming out for us, and we'll know. We kind of have a semblance of what's going to happen, but we want to know about all the 12 teams that get in, and there's going to be somebody that's left out that is probably going to be very. So we'll see what happens. This is the Teal Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com. We're doing a live stream right now. If you got comments on YouTube, put them in there. Got the messages you want to send me, you're welcome to do that. This is a live stream, by the way. Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers. It's a 4:00 game, about 4:25 for the kickoff in the National Football League. So we have posted the live stream in a couple of areas where you're welcome to come in, comment on college football. Who do you think should get in? Who got in and who's not getting into the 12-team playoff? And whoever doesn't get in, they're going to go to a if you're on the edge or the border, you're going to get into a really good bowl game, but it's not the same as getting into the playoff. Here, defense, boy, they've gotten a lot of apple turnovers this season as I'm looking at some information. Chicago Bears and Green Bay Packers. A lot of the countries are going to get to watch that game. That's a big one. Chicago Bears 9-3 at the Green Bay Packers 8-3-1. And again, that game will kick off, sometime a little bit after 4 o'clock, about 4:25 p.m. Eastern time for the kickoff. The Packers have won 11 of their last 12 games versus the Bears. Man, that is a telling stat. Nothing else is, right? So we appreciate you guys being here with us on the live stream. We're still going at it here, so thank you for coming in. Thank you for checking out the live stream. And we'll run some of our music. Got the guitar player going right now for you. And you're welcome to come in, give us your comments. Who's going to make the college football playoff? Who is not going to be in? When the bracket comes out, are you going to be surprised by maybe who gets in and who does not? You're welcome to give us your comment on our YouTube channel, the Teal Shirt Report podcast on BigDayReport.com. Got the scores from last night's college football conference championship games, SEC championship game, Georgia 28 and Alabama 7, the final score. And we'll be right around here, so stand by, stay with us. We're going to check on what exactly is coming down the pike. The college football playoff 2025 bracket. See where your team will play in the college football playoff, assuming your team or teams you follow get in. You know, the Army-Navy game is going to be played on Friday, December the 12th. It's going to be next week, right? Getting ready for the college football brackets to be unveiled here in just a little bit. The Jacksonville Jaguars getting ready to host the Indianapolis Colts. Both teams now are 8-4 on the 2025 season. Okay, we're here on the live stream, waiting for the playoff bracket. Now, we know Indiana, Georgia, way up there, Texas Tech. Texas Tech won the Big 12. Georgia won the SEC championship with a 28-7 win over Bama. Does Bama get in? We keep hearing that Tulane will get in as the American Conference champions with new Florida Gator head coach John Sumrall still coaching Tulane in the postseason until Tulane finishes playing, and then he'll, go to Florida full time for the 2026 job in the 2026 season. The Florida Gators head coach John Sumrall has already named a couple of coordinators, both the offensive coordinator, the guy from Georgia Tech, old Buster, and the defensive coordinator for the Florida Gators was named. He's coming from Kentucky. We're on the live stream right now, and a couple of people tuning in, and hey, we appreciate you guys coming in. So we'll get some more folks, as it continues along here on the TEAL Show Report podcast, JaguarsReport.com. Going to take a look at the playoffs, right? I mean, I've seen it two ways, depending on the sources we talk to or examine. I've seen Alabama as a 10th seed, and then I had another source that potentially say Alabama might not make the playoff. But now I'm hearing they're going to make the playoff. Things that, I'm looking at some things now. Nothing is absolutely official. Until this afternoon. We pretty much all know that Indiana is going to get a bye. Ohio State's going to get a bye. Georgia and Texas Tech, I believe those are the four teams that get the byes. We're hearing James Madison and Oregon to be it, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Tulane, Ole Miss, Alabama, and Texas A&M. I don't believe that is the projection. That is one of the many projections. So we've seen some projections where Alabama was in. We saw some projections where Alabama was not in. Alabama lost the Southeastern Conference championship game, lost to Georgia 28-7. A tough day for Alabama in the SEC championship game. And bear in mind, there were four teams that were actually tied in conference, all 7-1: Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. NFL football coming up today. Seattle will play Atlanta. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, 1 o'clock game. Some other games coming up. Cincinnati will play Buffalo at 1 o'clock. There's some big NFL football games. Jaguars at home at Everbank Stadium. And again, the key thing is some players that won't play. There'll be some players that do play. And I'm referring to injured players that will not be able to play. But Trevor Lawrence, he's been finding receiver Jacoby Myers. Myers, he's got 18 catches for 245 yards and 2 touchdowns as a Jaguar. And the Jaguars from the Vegas Raiders. The Jaguars traded a couple of drafts, I believe a 4th round and a 6th round pick to secure Jacoby Myers. And it was a good trade by Gladstone. No doubt about that. We got people checking this out. Come on into the TEAL Shirt Report podcast, BigJReport.com. And taking a look at playoff bracket. Apparently our live chat is open, so you can come in. Let's see. Bama Willie just came in. I don't know if Bama Willie came in to be fighting mad. Oh, I know who wrote that. Okay. It's our correspondent and contributor there. Bama Willie will be mad, fighting mad, if Bama doesn't make the college football playoff. Laughing out loud. Oh, well, I think if Bama doesn't get in, I don't think they can really get that mad. I mean, they've lost 3 games, right? They had their opportunities. When you have 4 teams tied, 7-1 in the conference, doesn't necessarily mean that all 4 of these teams are going to get in. And then Alabama and Georgia, I don't want to say they drew straws because it was more elaborate than that as far as tiebreakers go. Alabama had beaten Georgia during the regular season, close game though. That was the one game Georgia lost. And then what was the game? Ole Miss. I believe Georgia beat Ole Miss. Okay. Ole Miss lost 1 game. Texas A&M lost 1 game at the tail end of the year to Texas, and they did not make the Southeastern Conference Championship game. So you guys are ready to come in. Okay. I think I lost one of our monitors here, but we're still on live stream. We've been going at it for 27 minutes. We're brought to you by also Realty and Capital for real estate in Florida. Also by the Mad Max Mix.weebly.com. Check out Mad Max's show Wednesday night, madmax.weebly.com. Also JC live from the club. Live from the show on Thursday night. LakeUvalahits.com and LakeUvalahits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. Got that comment a moment ago. Bama Willie will be fighting mad if Bama doesn't make the college football playoffs. We've had, I've seen some projections and predictions on the playoffs, and the announcements coming out in the next few minutes. But I mean, it's kind of like some predictions have Bama in, some predictions have Bama out. Maybe Notre Dame's in the same boat. But we'll have to see. A Sunday afternoon of NFL football is coming up. Big games, including right here in Jacksonville, the Jaguars at Everbank Stadium hosting the Indianapolis Colts. We checked the line earlier. The Colts are actually about a 1.5-point favorite. Our source likes the Jaguars to cover the spread. It's going to be a tight game. Is kind of what Vegas people are saying. Our source kind of likes the Jaguars to beat the spread and to win the game, and the point total perhaps go over, right? So leave us your comments on YouTube. It seems like some of the comments come straight to me on StreamYard, and then some are on YouTube. So we'll see how it kind of shakes down. But we appreciate you guys being here. Indiana wins the Big Ten. That might be the big story of the weekend because Indiana wins the Big Ten for the first time in a decade. We had to go back to the mid-'60s. I believe Indiana was either 66 or 67. They finished in a 3-way tie. So it's not really outright winning the Big Ten, but they got back in the old days they would call that winning a share of the Big Ten. In 1945, if you go back that far, that was long before I was around. If you go back to 1945, Indiana, they the best record of the Big Ten in 1945. They were the undisputed Big Ten champions back around 1945. AFC playoff picture: Buffalo's 8-4, Indianapolis is 8-4, Chargers 8-4, the division leaders, New England 11-2, Denver Broncos 10-2. The Jacksonville Jaguars 8-4, and Baltimore, they lead their division. They're in a tight division. Pittsburgh 6-6, Baltimore is 6-6. In the NFC, you got some surprises. You got Chicago Bears 9-3. The LA Rams might be the best team in all of football, even though they lost to Carolina last week. LA Rams are 9-3. Philadelphia is 8-4. Tampa Bay has a shot to win that NFC South division. Tampa Bay is 7-5, so they got a winning record. So I'm going to see if we're going to communicate with John Gaylor. And I'm going to send John some messages. I'm going to give John, if John gets the bracket before I do, I'm going to let him know. Let me know if you get the bracket. Let me know if you get the bracket first, John. There's going to be some buys as it breaks down. The top 4 teams get a buy. Top 4 teams get a buy, and then you're going to have 8 teams that have to play the opening week, right? Then you're going to have 4 winners, and then those 4 winners will play the 4 teams that got the bye, and that essentially gives us the 12-team playoff. See Alex Nunnery. Alex Nunnery's seen our post on telling folks to come in here on the live stream. College football playoff bracket 2025-26 for Big J Report. I'm your host, Scott, and we're in here. We're actually live waiting for the bracket to materialize. And we've seen some projections, some predictions. By the way, the playoff games going kind of back where the playoff games will be played. Let's see. It'll be first round games, of course, then the quarterfinals. And I'm looking at some projections right now. We're so close to the time of getting the brackets. I'm not so sure it's even right to talk about complete projections. But we can say unequivocally that, Indiana's getting in. Georgia, the SEC champs, are getting in. Ohio State at 12-1 is going to get in. Texas Tech at 12-1, the Big 12 champions are getting in. Oregon with a very good 11-1 record. Big 10, they're going to be getting in. Keep hearing these rumors that the American Conference champions are going to get in as well. Texas A&M should get in with an 11-1 record. And some rumors they might even play Alabama in round 1. Alabama gets in. That's some of the projections that we've seen so far. A lot of people are predicting. And projections. Everything's going to be updated with the playoff results. College football playoff show is going on now on the people that own college football, ESPN. And they're going to be unveiling the bracket, and then we'll all know, of course. Steelers playing the Ravens today. Pittsburgh Steelers, well, this is a big game. And those teams aren't blowing anybody's doors off. The Steelers are 6-6. The Ravens are 6-6. That's what you call parity. Cool weather in Baltimore for the game, cloudy and 42 degrees. Key game in the AFC North. Pittsburgh Ravens go 6-6. And, of course, they will be doing battle today. So, let's see. We've got a lot of folks in here. Bama Willie will be fighting mad if Bama doesn't make the college football playoffs. John Gaylor says he's on it. John, let us know who the 12 teams are. Okay, John's telling me Trayvon Walker will play today. And that's really good news. The defense has been playing well. Honestly, we've seen some pass rushing without Walker, but if you get a healthy Walker out there, he's had injury problems. He had a wrist injury earlier in the year. He still may be bothered by the wrist coming now. He's been bothered by a knee injury. And the knee bone is not quite connected up to the wrist bone, right? He's had both of those injuries, and I hate to see anybody get hurt, really. And if Walker could be healthy enough to go out there, I also like the effort of number 95, TJ Green II, out of Colorado. And I looked him up today, 6'1", 270 pounds. He has played hard. I've seen some vicious hits out of that guy. He's a rookie, 22 years old, out of Colorado, wears number 95 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. As part of this winning streak, I got to say that what's winning the games for the Jaguars is the effort from the D-line, the pressure. When the Jaguars defense can get pressure on the opposing quarterback, we see the Jaguars play much better, have better shot at winning the games, and consequently, you got a 3-game winning streak as Jaguars are 8-4. Can you imagine that? Before the season ever started, way back in the spring or the summer, if somebody said, hey, after 12 games, the Jaguars would be 8-4, hey, we would all take it. I appreciate the notes John Gaylor, our contributor correspondent, is sending me during our live stream. By the way, when we complete the live stream, there'll be people coming in that'll be able to watch it after it's concluded. So, some good football games today. There's no doubt about that. And got some things happening at World Headquarters. Bear with me a moment. I'm going to pull out the guitar just for a moment. All right, bear with me. I figured out you can hit the mute button and then you don't lose your microphone. And I'm, doing this YouTube channel. I'm learning something. I'm learning something more almost every week, and it's great to be with you guys for the live stream. The comments are very helpful to me right now. John Gaylor says that Trayvon Walker will play today. Bama Whitney will be fighting mad if Alabama does not make the college football playoff. I'm laughing out loud there. But, Alabama's on the bubble. Oklahoma on the bubble. But Oklahoma's got 2 losses. Alabama's got 3. But I guess Alabama's played one more game than Oklahoma. But Alabama beat Oklahoma by 2 points. It was a close game. I remember in that game, Oklahoma got a big interception at some point in the first half. I think which was one of the biggest plays in the game. The Oklahoma Sooners, in order they beat Alabama. What was the final score of that one? 23-21. And then I've seen projections where Oklahoma and Alabama both get in, and Vanderbilt left out at 10-2 overall and 8-2 in SEC play. Some of these teams that don't make the playoff, they're going to be in the big bowl games. No doubt about that. So we're going to be looking for the playoff matchups as far as college football goes. Breakdowns are going to come out. Some of the teams, I guess you would say, that are kind of on the bubble that could get in might not get in. And probably are these 3: Alabama, Notre Dame, and Miami. And then we got a report here that the Fighting Irish are probably a playoff block to get in. And it comes down to the Crimson Tide or the Hurricanes. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next minute here. Jaguars kick off today at 1 o'clock p.m. at home. The So Duke, apparently Duke got that. They got that ACC title, but they're not going to be in the playoff. And, when Steve Spurrier coached Duke, and I guess it was the year before he took the Florida Gator job, Duke won a share of the ACC. It was not, they did not win the conference outright by themselves, but Duke got a share of the ACC. So Duke's first ACC title since Steve Spurrier was the coach. Trayvon Walker expected to play today. And when we get some bracket information, I think John Gaylor is going to pass it along to us if we cannot find it. So that's what we're kind of looking at. And there's fans of teams, if their team doesn't get in, it's going to ruin their day. It's like, that my team, the Florida Gators, are not getting in this year with a 4-8 record. But I got a kick out of all the Florida Gator fans on social media, and Florida beat Florida State 40-21 on the last regular season game of the season before. What was that? The last Saturday in November. Countless people are telling me, man, I can sleep better tonight. Florida has beaten FSU 40-21. And I was happy. Florida State fans were not happy. And, I like Coach Norvell. And I told a couple of Florida State fans, I said, I'm going to pull Florida State, except when they play Florida, because I like Coach Norvell. Coach Norvell's getting another year, and Florida State fans aren't really happy about that, but they were up and down. Florida State had a game where they flew out Wake Forest. Florida State beat Alabama, and if somehow, some way Alabama does not make this playoff, we're going to go back and say, man, that opening Florida State loss killed it. What you would think. Tennessee Titans playing the Cleveland Brownies. The Brownies are kind of the Brownies, and 3-9 this year. Tennessee is like, 1-11 now? That is close to a toilet bowl as you can get. Tennessee and the Brownies. Ravens play Pittsburgh, and that's to be a pretty good football game because both of those teams are going to want that game really, really bad. They're both 6-6, and they're right at the top of their division. Nobody really has that good a record in the AFC North. I'm sorry, the AFC North. Garrett with Cleveland does have 19 sacks. Browns defense is ranked second in the NFL, but having trouble on offense. The Browns have played musical quarterback a couple of years or longer, right? Washington Redskins play Minnesota. I guess actually the Washington Commanders will play Minnesota. 1 o'clock game. I did check my fantasy football lineup. In one league, playoffs are getting underway, and I'm not in the playoffs. Another league, I've been eliminated. Lost the game by less than a point last week, and I think I'm eliminated. It's terrible to be eliminated from your own league. Your report, podcast fantasy football league. So, getting ready for a lot of NFL football. Minnesota plays Washington. The Jaguars hosting the Indianapolis Colts at home, for the Colts got a 1-point favorite. And let's see, I'm getting some messages here. Okay, I think my wife woke up. She sent me a message. It's a very nice message. Okay, so we're going to attempt to get the bracket, the college football playoff bracket for 2025-2026. As you know, these games are going to be played over a stretch of weeks. The college football playoff has been something that's been debated for years and years and years, and now the playoff is here. The playoff was here last year. We get the BTS. Several renditions of like top 4 teams, the top 2 teams. Now it is a 12-team playoff. It'll be just a matter of time before the networks take maybe a 16-team playoff. So in the next, 3 to 5 years, Jacksonville Jaguars are 8-4. Minneapolis Colts are 8-4. Houston Texans are 7-5. Tennessee Titans are 1-11. That is the AFC South division. So really, you got 3 teams still very much in it. As far as the division title goes, you take a look at what's left. There's 5 games left in the season. There's only 1 game that separates 3 teams in the AFC South. Tennessee's really the only team out of it in the AFC South division. And man, I'm glad you guys are tuned in with us right here on the TEAL Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com. We're waiting on actually the college football bracket. Who's going to get in, who will not get in. And when we get the word, hey, we will let you know. We kind of have the idea that these quarterfinals are probably pretty well set. Indiana's going to get a bye. It looks like Indiana plays in the Rose Bowl, and they'll get a bye in the first round, but they won't play till January the 1st. Ohio State will play January the 1st in the Cotton Bowl. These are projections. These are not official. Orange Bowl looks like Georgia is the third team against whoever wins in the first round. And Texas Tech will get a bye. Looks like Texas Tech is the 4 seed, and they would actually play in the Sugar Bowl on December 31st. Now, these are predictions. That just kind of gives you an idea of what may happen. Let's see. The first round games are there's a Peach Bowl game that'll be a semifinal game on January the 9th. Fiesta Bowl semifinal on January the 8th. The championship game will be played on January the 19th at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Hey, we're waiting on the results of the brackets. Both teams that are obviously going to be in the playoffs. That's what we're waiting on. We're waiting on how the playoffs may shake down. Most all of us know that Indiana and Georgia, Ohio State, Texas Tech are all going to be in. Oregon at 11-1 could be in as well. But certainly we'll wait before we get the official word. Conjecture, predictions, projections. All has place. It's been talked for years. Even when there wasn't a playoff, there were just nothing but the bowl game. Hey, we need a playoff. Well, college football has a playoff now. College football absolutely has a playoff. And about 12:21 Eastern time on our live stream. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. We're brought to you by Social Realty Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida. Also by the Mad Max Mix. Weebly.com. Mad Max is a great show on Wednesday nights. John Gaylor, I know you listen to JC Live on Thursday nights. I know you've been interested in checking Mad Max's show out. He has a great show on Wednesday night at Mad Max Mix. Mad Max Mix at madmaxmix.weebly.com. Max's show is from 6 o'clock in the evening till 8 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock Eastern Time each Wednesday. On the madmaxmix.weebly.com. JC's show is the very next night on Thursdays. JC Live from the pub on Thursday nights, of course. Get it away from Central Time. Max on Wednesday night will give you his phone number probably early in the show, and you can either call him or text him with your request. JC has a chat box on the website at LakeUFallahit.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. And you can always go to BigJReport.com. Scroll the Neighbors 2 section. We got links for those shows, whether you're listening to the Mad Max Mix on Weebly.com on Wednesday nights for JC live from the pub, on Thursday nights. Both of these shows get underway at 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. A team that has really been an improving team. Really, the last 4 years, they're getting better and better. Bo Nix, and he's the quarterback. Sean Payton's the coach, and Denver's getting better and better. I think they're 10-2 this year, and they're going to be a playoff team. They got a shot to win their division. Kansas City's just got to work really, really hard just to make the playoffs, because I believe Kansas City's 6-6. Chicago Bears 9-3 will play at the Green Bay Packers for 8-1. Green Bay is like a 6.5-point favorite in this one. Chicago, after starting out 0-2, the Chicago Bears have really turned it up. Chicago's won like 9 of their last 10 games. So the Chicago Bears playing really, really good football. They're going to play Green Bay, who's also playing good football as well. Jordan Love's had a good season for Green Bay. They got a good running back. Jacobs having a good year. Green Bay's offense, their third down conversion percentage, I believe, is close to the best in the NFL. Houston Texans trying to stay alive in the playoff hunt at 7-5. They will play Kansas City with 6-6. KC's not. I don't think they're going to win the division this year. They're going to go into the playoffs as a wild card if they get in. Denver all of a sudden is like 10-2. There's some interesting games coming up in the National Football League. We're waiting on the college football bracket for 2025-2026. If you guys hear anything, let me know in the comments. And we all know that Indiana won the Big Ten for the first time in decades. Georgia had a great championship game in Alabama, 28-7. How about the Bulldogs from the Southeastern Conference? Alabama's got 3 losses. There's overall, and they're still hoping to get into the playoff of college football. If we'll get in, there'll be some teams. Number 13 and number 14, they are not going to be happy. Whoever those teams the ones that don't get in, that probably are the 13th or 14th team that do not get into the 12-team playoff, that is tough. Daniel Jones having a good year for the Colts. As I hear, he's been a little banged up the last couple of weeks. Trevor Lawrence, last week against Tennessee, had 2 touchdown passes, evening, no interceptions. He was 16 out of 27 throwing the football. And Jacoby Myers, 21 targets, 18 receptions, 245 yards, and 2 touchdowns since becoming a Jacksonville Jaguar wide receiver almost a month ago, after the Jaguars made the traded a couple of draft picks for the Raiders to pick up Jacoby Myers. Why did they get Jacoby Myers? Well, my feeling is the Jaguars were having a lot of drop passes. This guy squeezes the football. Jacoby Myers catches the football. And here in Jacksonville, there's warm-ups going on now. Teams are warming up. About 30 minutes, close to 30 minutes before the kickoff now. And you're tuned in to the TEAL Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 75. This is the TEAL Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com. We're going to find those brackets and pass them along to you as soon as we get the official college football 26 brackets of the 12 teams that are going to be in the playoff. NFL football getting ready to kick off today. A lot of 1 o'clock games coming up. Some big ones. Minnesota is playing Washington today. You got Baltimore and Pittsburgh, both 6-6, going at it. The Jaguars hosting the Indianapolis Colts, and the Jaguars have had success against the Colts the last few years. You really need success today because both of these teams are 8-4. This is for first place in the AFC South Division. Okay, you're tuned in to the live stream of the Teal Shirt Report podcast, getting a few messages in. And man, when we get the bracket, the complete update on the bracket, we will let you know the way it's going to go. And Indiana won the Big Ten 13-10 over Ohio State. Now, how does that affect these teams' mindsets? And I guess it really shouldn't, especially if the teams are extremely healthy. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 7-5 on the season. Their schedule is New Orleans, Atlanta, at Carolina, at Miami. Then they play Carolina again at home. They play Carolina like 2 weeks in a row over a period of 3 weeks. Not 2 weeks in a row, but they play them 2 out of 3 weeks. Carolina Panthers, all of a sudden, they're 7-6. So Joe Burrow is back playing for Cincinnati. They play at Buffalo. Jalen Hurts, quarterback for the Eagles. All these guys playing, Jacoby was still playing for the Arizona Cardinals. And they play the LA Rams today. Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City in action. Jaden Daniels is in the game for Washington. And they're playing Minnesota. Jordan Love in Green Bay versus Chicago. Baker Mayfield. I put Baker Mayfield in one of my fantasy football leagues because he was projected to get about 1 point more than Trevor. We could talk fantasy football, but it's very close. One guy can have a better game, than the other guy. A key player in today's Colts at Jacksonville Jaguars game is going to be the running back, Jonathan Taylor, with the Colts. And the Jaguars front control him. I think defensive line play, that's where the Jaguars have started to look like they can win games now. With the pressure on the quarterback and the control of the other team's running game. Bucky Irvin is back playing for Tampa Bay. He's been back, I think, a couple of weeks now. He was injured early in the year because I had him on one of my fantasy football league teams. So there's a lot of running backs. Breece Hall playing for the Jets and the Dolphins. Chase Brown plays for the Bengals, and the Bengals playing in Buffalo. A lot of good NFL football games coming up today. We got some good comments, on our YouTube channel, so you're welcome to post your comments. Florida Gators have a new head football coach. How about that? Florida Gators with John Summerall. He's hired an offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Hey, Tulane might be one of those teams that gets into the playoff. Might be the 11th team or the 12th team to get in. We'll find out. But there's rumors James Madison may get in. Tulane, Alabama's kind of on the fence. We'll see what they do with the college football playoff. But Alabama fans are not that happy. They wanted to win that SEC championship game, and Georgia had a good game. SEC championship game, Georgia 28, Alabama 7, the final. These games were played on Saturday. Kickoff game was 4 o'clock yesterday on Saturday, December the 6th. Georgia won the SEC championship against Georgia 28, Alabama 7, the final Big Ten title game. And that was a big one. Indiana won the Big Ten. I think late in the third quarter, it was 13-10 Indiana, and nobody scored any more points, and Indiana held on and won. Indiana has not won a Big Ten championship in college football in decades. They did finish, I believe, in a 3-way tie back in the mid-'60s, and they're undisputed. Big Ten title was way back in 1945. So you got to guess this coach, the coach in Indiana now, Signetti, has got to be coach of the year. He's got to be coach of the year. Is Indiana 13-0? Can you believe that? Vanderbilt's 10-2. Georgia Tech had a great year. The Florida Gators have grabbed the Georgia Tech offensive coordinator, the new head coach for Florida, John Sumrall, and the OC of Georgia Tech will become the OC for the Florida Gators. So we're right here on our live stream. I'm Scott, your host. This is the TEAL Shirt Report podcast from BigThingReport.com. Appreciate you coming in. Will Alabama get into the playoff, or will they not? Some of these teams kind of on the bubble. Alabama, Notre Dame, Miami, and Florida Hurricanes are hopefully getting in, and we'll see what happens. We don't have the official bracket as of yet. We know Indiana's going to get in with a bye. Georgia's going to get in with a bye. Texas Tech and Ohio State are probably the other two teams that will get a first-round bye in the college football playoff here in 2025 and 2026. And when we get the bracket, we'll let you know what team is going to be left out that should get in. That's the fan base that is going to be highly disappointed if they don't get in, right? Good football games today in the NFL. The Rams at Arizona, Tampa Bay playing New Orleans today. Houston at Kansas City. That's a huge game for Kansas City. They're 6-6. They're just hoping to make it as a wild card because they're 4 games out of first place. So got folks messaging me now, and that's good. Guys messaging all of us today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I have not seen the official brackets as of yet. We're kind of giving you, obviously, some conjecture on who we think the 12 teams are going to be. We know who the top 4 teams are going to be. We're basically looking at Indiana, Big Ten champion, Georgia Bulldogs, SEC champions, will be in the Big Ten playoff. Basically, Ohio State was the runner-up and out of the Big Ten, but they're 12-1. Now, Alabama is looking at a situation where they've got 3 losses. What is Bama now? Bama losses. I think that makes Bama 10-3, I believe. So that's what we're looking at. Then we've heard American Conference champion Tulane winning the American Conference Championship football game, still being coached by John Sumrall until their postseason is over, and then he'll officially go to Florida to be the head coach of the University of Florida Gators. Lane Kiffin on his way to LSU. Well, he's already there. I saw the pictures of him on the plane and getting off the plane, and I have heard LSU supposedly got some big-time recruits, big-time defensive linemen that have already been hauled in by Kiffin. I think Kiffin, his own general manager at LSU, kind of leaves the old guy out, right? So it's amazing. College football's got general managers now. Dave Codwell, former Jacksonville Jaguars general manager, and an assistant to the Eagles general manager the last couple of years. Now, Dave Codwell is with the Florida Gators as their general manager. College football's changed. They've got general managers. You got to have an offensive coordinator, and Coach Billy Napier just wanted Billy to call all the plays himself. He was head coach of Florida, and in the long run, that may have hurt him. But then he got fired about 3.5 years into his tenure with the Florida Gators. So we are absolutely waiting on the brackets for the college football 2025 playoff. 12 teams that get in. Indiana won the Big Ten. That's probably the biggest story in college football here in 2025 is Indiana winning the Big Ten in college football for the first time in decades. Georgia's got a good football team, but Georgia has won close games. They were in a 16-9 battle, beating Georgia Tech in their last regular season game, and then Georgia, and they really played well in the SEC championship game. Max said it was a big win for his Dogs, and they beat Alabama 28-7. Okay, I got a message, Sam Newton from our Big J Report Facebook chat. I could have sworn he put in there that James Madison is going to be in the tournament. James Madison and Oregon is kind of crazy. So that must be part of the bracket now. So, yeah, is that right? Oh, wow. James Madison. I'll message these guys. James Madison got in. Is that correct? Looks like they're in. Okay, James Madison at Oregon. That must be one of the first round games that we're hearing about. And we'll take a look. We'll take a look at the bracket here in a moment. As soon as we get the bracket up, we'll take a look at what's going on with the bracket. The bracket is being updated. So when we get the complete bracket, hey, we'll let you know right here on the Teal Shirt Report, the Teal Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com. Indiana takes top billing. Let me go backwards here. Bear with me a moment. Coaches poll top 25. Indiana secures the spot as unanimous number one. Both major polls. Miami joins the top 10. We can at least run down the poll. The Week 16 coaches put Indiana number one, Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, Texas Tech 4th, Oregon 5th, Ole Miss 6th, Texas A&M 7th, Oklahoma 8th, Notre Dame 9th, Miami of Florida 10th. Maybe Bama got in. Bama is 11th in the coaches poll, and Vanderbilt is 12th. So we'll work on and find out who got in the actual football playoff. Who got in and who didn't. When we find out officially, we'll let you know. So bear with us here on the live stream. Okay, we'll take a look at it. I believe there's a bracket coming up. We got a preliminary report that said James Madison will play Oregon. I think we got the bracket up. 12 teams that will compete in the 2025 college football playoff have officially been decided. And this comes to us from CBS. Here we go. James Madison at Oregon. Alabama's in. Alabama. Mickey Jackson used to say Alabama. Alabama's in. They're going to play Oklahoma. What is that, a rematch? Oh, wow. Man, that's an absolute rematch. Yeah, thank goodness I got a call button now. Okay, James Madison, and that's what Sam was talking about in our Big J report Facebook chat. James Madison will play at Oregon. James Madison is in there at the 12th seed. Looks like Oregon is the 5th seed in this college football playoff. James Madison will play at Oregon in the first round game. Alabama plays at Oklahoma. Alabama's the 9th seed. The Alabama Crimson Tide, they're getting in. They're getting in at number 9. They're not going to keep Alabama out, not even with 3 losses. Alabama, the 9th seed, will play at Oklahoma. And for Alabama, this is a chance to get some revenge against the team that beat you a few weeks ago. Not too long ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Oklahoma beat Alabama. Oklahoma 23, Alabama 21, just like about 3 weeks ago. Alabama play at Oklahoma in the first round game. Tulane. Now, we all thought this was going to probably materialize. Tulane will play at Ole Miss. Tulane is the 11th seed. Ole Miss is the 6th seed. Tulane will play at Ole Miss in a first round game, and then Miami is in. Miami of Florida, the 2th seed, will play Texas A&M, the 7th seed. Oh wow, where is Notre Dame? It looks like Notre Dame has been left out. You got James Madison at Oregon, Alabama at Oklahoma, Tulane at Ole Miss, Miami of Florida at Texas A&M. Those are the first round games. So the top four teams, and we appreciate you guys tuning in, by the way, to our live stream. Again, we'll tell you that I'm going to go right back to the bracket. James Madison will play at Oregon in a first-round game. Also in a first-round game, Alabama at Oklahoma, Tulane at Ole Miss, Miami of Florida at Texas A&M. Those are your first-round games. The James Madison and Oregon winner will play Texas Tech at Texas Tech. Alabama, the winner of the Alabama and Oklahoma game, will play Indiana, the Big Ten champion. The Tulane at Ole Miss winner will get Georgia. Hear that one? Tulane at Ole Miss. The winner of the Tulane at Ole Miss first round game will advance to play Georgia. We'll be waiting on Tulane and Ole Miss as Georgia gets a bye in the first round. And Miami of Florida will play at Texas A&M. Notre Dame did not make the playoff. Trying to find Notre Dame's name on here, but no, Notre Dame absolutely did not make the playoff. Miami of Florida, Texas A&M winner, will advance to play Ohio State in the second round. Ohio State, Georgia, Indiana, and Texas Tech all have first round buys. Got a message from Brother Gaylor. John Gaylor says the Notre Dame fans are outraged and they were left out. Some of us thought maybe Bama would get knocked out. Bama would be left out. Bama's in. Bama's in, baby. Got it, baby. Alabama's in. And they've got them set up for a rematch with Oklahoma. Oklahoma beat like 2 points, what, about 3 weeks ago? So those are the teams in. Those are your 12 teams in the playoff. You got James Madison at Oregon in a first-round game, Alabama at Oklahoma in a first-round game, Tulane at Ole Miss, Miami of Florida Hurricanes at the Texas A&M Aggies. Those are the first-round games. And waiting to play with first-round byes, Texas Tech, the Big 12 champions. Indiana has a bye, the Big 10 champions. Georgia, the SEC champions, has a bye in the first round. And Ohio State, the runners-up. They had a great record. Ohio State, 12-1. They lost by 3 points in the Big 10 championship game to Indiana. Ohio State has a first-round bye. So those are your 12 teams. James Madison in Oregon, Alabama at Oklahoma, Tulane at Ole Miss in a first-round game, in Miami of Florida at Texas A&M. 4 teams that have bye and do not have to play first-round games, and they will wait to see who they will play the next week after the first-round games. Texas Tech has a bye. Indiana, the Big 10 champions, have a bye. The SEC champions, Georgia has a bye. And Ohio State has a bye as well. I got a message saying that apparently there's some outrage from the Notre Dame fans. My goodness, this world coming. Notre Dame did not take the 12. I guess they were the 13th team. They're not getting in. I want to thank my executive producer, JC. I want to thank Alex Henry. And special thank you to John Gaylor, really helping me out during the live stream here, our contributor and correspondent to our YouTube channel, the TEAL Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com. Thank you guys for tuning in to our live stream. I'm Scott, your host, the TEAL Shirt Report podcast. This has been a live stream. The Jags are kicking off here with the Colts. We'll be back a little later to see how the Jags are doing against the Colts. You guys have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to the live stream. If you missed this live stream, you can come back and check it out again because it'll still be up there. Man, what a great playoff. And I got new people coming in here right now. So I'll tell you that James Madison will play at Oregon, Alabama at Oklahoma in the college football 2025 in the 2025-26 playoff. Alabama at Oklahoma, James Madison at Oregon, Tulane at Ole Miss, Miami of Florida, the Hurricanes will play at Texas A&M. Teams getting byes: Texas Tech, Indiana, Georgia, and Ohio State. Notre Dame, a little bit of outrage from Notre Dame. They did not. Notre Dame, couldn't find them. Notre Dame did not make the playoff. Thank you guys for tuning into the TEAL Shirt Report podcast and our live stream. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I want to thank our sponsors, Tulsa Realty and Capital, the MadMaxPicks.weebly.com Wednesday night internet radio show for best songs on, whether it's classic rock, music, pop message with Mad Max on Wednesday nights. Find a link for Mad Max, the show, at BigJReport.com in our Neighbors 2 section, and a listing of concerts up there too. Check out JC's show on the following night on Thursday night. JC live from the pub Thursday nights, getting underway at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. This has been our live stream on the TEAL Shirt Report podcast. You guys have a great day. I'm glad Alabama's in. Alabama got in, but Notre Dame, they've been left at home. They'll get a pretty good bowl game. They're going to go to a bowl game, right? You guys have a great day. Thank you for listening and watching our live stream. NFL football is coming up. A lot of big games. The Colts are like a 1.5 point favorite over our Jacksonville Jaguars. Go Jags! Duval! You guys have a great day. Thanks for checking out. Thank you so much. Checking out the live stream here on the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Teal Shirt Report podcast from TJReport.com. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Then you'll get all the content whenever we come on live or if we have a recorded show. We have a lot of content up there. You guys have a great day. I'm Scott, your host of the Teal Shirt Report podcast. The live stream has actually been episode show number 75. You guys have a great day. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.